I'll be reading an excerpt from my unfinished novel called Broken Glass. September 18th, 1999, my 11th birthday. I was excited, really excited. The fact of knowing that I was just 1 year older overexcited me when the way I spent it would have disappointed anyone else. I sat in our cold, dark, damp apartment, staring at all the bare walls and empty rooms. I waited and waited for the woman whom I called my mother to walk through the door. She never came. She had left about 8:30 the night before with a man, a stranger. He looked like the Incredible Hulk gone black. And when I asked her to introduce us, she didn't even know his name, yet she vanished with him, leaving me alone. So there I sat. I wandered over to the window, and through the fire escape I could see all of the other poor kids that lived on my block. I went to school with most of them, and the others didn't have enough money to go. Wait, I couldn't even afford to go to school. I was able to go only because of the woman whom I called my mother. She had her own little way of getting me things. Whenever she came to my school, she would always wear these little mini skirts and fishnet stockings, and even though the outfits changed, the shoes always stayed the same. Black patent leathers, thigh-high 6-inch heels, and boy were those things pointy. I'm talking pointier than the devil's horns. One time when I went to my after-school program, the principal wasn't there. It wasn't like him to just take a break without notice. All the way home, I kept thinking long and hard about why he was missing. I thought so hard about it that I started seeing things. I imagined his car outside our apartment building and him entering. This thought was quickly discarded from my memory. When I got inside, I was appalled at the mess my mother had made. Her schoolgirl pleated skirt, along with the holy fishnets and the devil horns, were all sprawled out on the floor like homicide victims. Ignoring this, I approached her bedroom door. I could have sworn I saw the principal's toupee parked in the mess. But that slipped my mind as I picked up a small piece of evidence. It was a plastic wrapper that read, Trojan, extra sensitive, cherry flavored. You guys dirty. Sounds good, my lips murmured as I shoved it into my pocket. That would come in handy the next day when I went to the candy shop. I snapped out of my daydream to continue my mission. I put my hand on the doorknob and paused because it's only right to knock first. So I knocked 3 times and let myself in, only to find my mother entwined in the principal's sweaty fat flabs. Was he trying to suffocate her? What was going on here? Get out, my mother screeched as both of their naked bodies scrambled for the sheets. Get out! I was so afraid I ran. I ran so fast that I slipped on about 7 piles of pee and only 3 flights of stairs. And by the time I reached the street, I had pools of tears in each ear. I had a headache too, not only because I could feel my heart beating in my brain, but because there was extremely loud banging noise and an annoying car alarm. I turned to see where it was coming from, only to be even more shocked, as if seeing my mother being suffocated and naked wasn't bad enough. Now I was witnessing automobile brutality. A blonde and slightly gray woman was bashing up what I thought was the principal's car. She used her feet, her shoes, her keys, and a bat. She walked across the street to where I was, and she reached for the metal garbage can, the one that the woman whom I called my mother and I shared. What do you want that for? I asked curiously. She glared at me with bloodshot red eyes and hair that looked like she'd been electrocuted. Then she strolled back to the other side of the street with it. I watched her lift it into the air and slam it straight through the windshield. I immediately dropped my book bag and ran across the street to reclaim my property. She lifted it up over her head again, and I leaped on her back and shouted, "Look, lady, don't be coming up in my hood and slamming my garbage cans." She flung me off and let the garbage can come down on the hood. I stood up to find none other than the principal and my mother on the other side of the car. My mother was wrapped in a white sheet with dirty black streaks, and the principal was stumbling behind her trying to hold his pants up. It turned out that the car did indeed belong to him, and the woman who was bashing it was his wife. She stopped to eyeball my mother and then her husband. "So this is the woman you're cheating with," she said calmly as tears filled her eyes, and he was speechless. I was confused. Cheating? Was this some kind of game? Obviously it was, because after a quick exchange of words, my mother dropped her sheet prepared for a naked fight in the street. How embarrassing. All the neighbors and their dirty children were watching and laughing. Then the police came and cuffed up both women. They tried to question me, but I took off down the block around the corner wailing like a baby. I stopped and slipped into a dark alley. Then I sat behind some cardboard boxes and put my head in my hands. I thought to myself, I witnessed an attempted suffocation, a car beating, and a cat fight all in one day. It shouldn't have taken me 2 years to come to my senses. Now I realize that this is not the place for me. This is not how I want to live. I was alone then, and I am alone now. I had the chance to leave then, and I have the chance to leave now. I didn't leave then, but I am leaving now.